Hello, stream. How are we all going today? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. I don't know why I do that. Every time I stream, I always do put my hands up. No one can see me.
Man's got them jazz hands.
Alrighty, so in this podcast, we are going to be talking about Technoblade, his influence on content creators and just remembering him, and I'm going to be joined today by Connor, who is sitting over on the bed. And then in Discord, we've got joining us Ishi, Dark Phoenix, Uni, and Pix. So I'm excited to talk about, Technoblade and everything that's going on. So, hello.
Hello.
Here we go. Where's my podcast screen? There we go. Okay. Cool. Hello, guys. How are you all?
We are vibing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Connor.
I'm good.
So for everyone in stream, Connor is a little bit grumpy because I had to wake him up to do this.
I was comfy.
Sucks to be you.
But we're here.
Shut the fuck
Yay!
up.
Yeah. I'm gonna go over there and strangle you in a second, okay?
I'll do it for you.
Oh,
It's kinda hot.
Okay.
Thank you, Ring.
Okay. Welcome, guys, to the podcast. Absolutely awesome to have you guys here joining us today to talk about Technoblade, who I think has been a pretty big inspiration to all of us in one way or another. So we're gonna start the stream by just going down the list. Introduce yourself, your pronouns, and just a little brief thing about why you're on the stream today. Ishi, if you would like to start.
Yeah. Hi, so I'm Ishi. I'm an artist. I use she, they, he pronouns, and I'm here to talk about Techno just because he's fucking awesome. And Technoblade never dies.
So true.
Yeah.
Connor, if you would like to go next.
I'm Connor. I go by he, they, something like that.
Can't even remember his own pronouns.
No. I'm here because I've got the wildest altar that wanted to be here.
Yeah, it was mainly Wilbur that wanted to be here, wasn't it? So he'll be out at some point, I'm sure. Pix, if you would like to go next.
Pix?
Who?
If Pix is alive.
Pix?
I actually mute myself. I'm so sorry.
Yes.
I'm Pix. Hello. I use they/they pronouns, and I'm here to talk because I also have an alter that's from the Jameson P, as well as he kind of inspired a bit of my content for a hot minute. So
We just
he definitely
blamed
inspired
you.
me. Yeah, I was still blaming Nick. It's all Nick's fault, actually.
All right. Phoenix, if you'd like to go next.
Hi, I'm Dark Phoenix. I use he, they, its pronouns. And I'm here because techno is one of the biggest reason why I actually started making content on the internet. So yeah, that's pretty much why I'm here.
And Uni.
Hi, I'm Uni. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm just here to talk about Technoblade because he's a very influential creator that I've been watching for fucking years now at this point, so.
Valid. And for those of you who may not know, my name is Rain. I use they or any pronouns. I really don't care. I am here because even though I'm probably not someone who has watched Technoblade a whole heap, he has still been a very big inspiration for me, and he also lives in my head. So
he is inside my brain at all times.
Yep. So yeah, he's probably gonna come out and talk a little bit at some points. So-
He's gonna come out. I'm so proud of him.
Oh, shut
Yeah.
up. So yeah, he may come and join the conversation at some points during this.
But
Don't count my word on that. However, he has never really, not very often at least, spoken while he's been in the front. So
The only time he fronts is to bully the shit out of
yeah.
me. That
As
is
he
the
should.
only time.
valid king.
Alrighty. So, I want to start this podcast off, with just sort of a general topic, talking about how you guys sort of came to discover Technoblade, if you can even remember.
Yeah. Does anyone want to go first?
I mean, I can go first if we need somebody to.
Yeah,
Go for
go
it.
ahead.
All right. So I remember the first video I remember watching, of course, was the Potato War. I don't remember specifically. I just remember watching it, but then not. I didn't really get into his content until around SMP Live, where it was SMP Earth actually, where I got like real. I started watching after
Yeah.
he took over the world with Phil, basically.
Yeah,
That
he,
video
he was
started-
Antarctica.
Yeah, Antarctica, and just kind of the Antarctic Empire, and just took over, and instantly I was like, wow, wait, this guy's actually really cool. Hold on, and I remembered him from the Potato War videos. And I'm like, whoa, hold on, I really like this guy's content. And I just remember watching like a bunch of videos until falling asleep that night. It was really cool.
I didn't realize that SMP Earth happened after the Potato War. I thought it happened before.
I don't remember. I just remember.
Pretty sure they happen during each other, pretty much.
Hang on,
Oh.
I'm
Yeah, I
looking
think
at
they were
Techno's channel
simultaneous.
right now.
I might have gotten my dates mixed around, but I remember one of those videos being the one that was like, oh man, I really like this guy's content. I'm gonna watch more.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I-
definitely. Yeah. Oh, you go, Uni.
I was just gonna say, like, I think I remember watching his like Sky Wars videos where he would like it was just him talking and then he was playing Sky Wars like in the background. It's like the Subway Surfer fucking like
Yeah.
videos.
Subway Surfer videos.
So that's when I started watching him, but I was more of like a passive viewer of just like when he uploaded I'd watch. I was never like, because I never watched like SMP Live. I didn't watch SMP Earth because I think he live streamed that mostly, and I didn't really watch live streams back then. I just watched like YouTube videos. So I was just like whatever, like, but I was like updated. Like I would watch like anytime he uploaded a video, which was not often. I would watch it.
Yeah. I just checked. So he did actually start the Potato War first, and then SMP Earth came, and then it would have been SMP Live, and then Dream SMP.
Gotcha. All right. So I kind of
Yeah.
had it mixed up a
No,
little
you
bit.
had it right. You had it right.
Oh, yay! I'm right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, don't worry, bestie, you got it
Yay!
right.
Yeah, my memory. Yay! It's good for once.
Yeah, I think I got confused because I first encountered him through SMP Earth because of SMP Live, I think, because I found Wilbur through SMP Live and then to SMP Earth, and that was how I discovered Techno. And because I had that first kind of initial like introduction of him with SMP Earth, I watched the Potato War after. So timey-wimey wibbly wobbly. But yeah.
Exactly. We can't remember, but we know certain videos.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember what the event that he was in. But there was one of the events, it was like Minecraft Ultimate or something.
Minecraft
um,
Mondays?
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And where he just went like batshit insane, and I remember seeing clips, like, because I have known about Techno for like a really long time, but I was on like sort of a different side of Minecraft YouTube, so even though I would see him around all the time and like practically knew who he was because I knew he was very popular, I never actually like properly got into watching him until like sort of, Dream SMP sort of took off, because then I started getting back into Minecraft again with content and everything. Hi Bella. We've been interrupted by a dog.
Dog interval.
Best ever
But-
interruption.
Oh, I have best interruption. But like, I remember seeing clips from when he was in whatever event it was. And I saw people, like, their reactions to Techno just flying in on them with elytras and shit. And it was like everyone just going fucking insane, going like, oh my god, is that Techno? No, shit, run, guys. Like, everyone was like so terrified of this man. And seeing those
Yeah.
clips, I sort of sat there and went, like, he must be really good at, like, PvP if, like, everyone is sort of, like, a bit, terrified of him, like, in this event. Like,
Yeah.
I'd never really watched him, but why is everyone suddenly so terrified of him? Like, and because I loved watching, people, like, content creators who are really good at PvP as well. So when I started watching his videos and stuff, it made me sit there and go, this dude's funny. I like this dude. And it's sort of just like every now and then, I don't watch much YouTube anymore, but every now and then I would sort of just click through and like watch a video here and there.
Yeah, I was a really passive viewer. Like until the Dream SMP, that's when I was like, I watched more of him. But again, like, I mean, I never really liked watching which is funny. I don't like watching live streams.
No, I'm the same.
I-
I don't
don't
have
like
enough
watching
attention
them.
span to actually watch
I
live
can't-
I'm the
streams.
complete
right?
opposite.
I just can't watch live streams. I think it's also just because like I watch my YouTube videos in like 2 times like speed. Because I'm like,
Yeah.
if it's normal, and oh my, it's so funny. Like I have friends, like my mom will walk in, or like my friends will walk in, and I'm watching YouTube out loud, and they're like, "What the fuck are you listening to?" And I'm like, "YouTube," and they're like, "Why is it so fast?" And I'm like, I can't listen to it on normal. Which I also think that's why, like, I can't watch live streams because I have to watch it in the regular. Like, you can't speed it up.
Yeah, the
So,
only way to
like,
speed it up
I just-
is like ask the streamer, hey, can you speed it up? Sure, do you want me to start talking like this for the next like hour?
Literally,
Okay.
I'm like. So I'm like, that's why I never watched it, but I watched like. I always watch that. That's why I like them when YouTube like, and I understand why a lot of them don't, but I'm like, that's why I like the recap videos because I'll just watch
Yeah.
those in like 2x speed. So, but yeah, but like I was always updated on like the Dream SMP lore, like especially when it comes to Technoblade. I just never like watched it for myself.
Yeah.
I'm sort of the same.
That's
honestly.
fair.
I feel like
Okay, I'm
I
back.
saw the lore for other people.
Welcome
Welcome back.
I was trying to get my camera thing to work and I couldn't figure it out.
Oh. I remember when Techno finally joined the Dream SMP because I had been watching since like I think before the election, like right before the election, and I remember just all of that happening and then Techno joining, and that was like the thing that I was instantly I was like, okay, I'm hooked on this server then. Okay, Techno's here. I'm gonna watch the shit out of this.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
like
think I watched-
I never properly followed the Dream SMP, but when
Neither did I.
it started like getting real popular and everything, like way after Techno had joined and everything, I started watching because there's like a channel on YouTube who edits up everyone's VODs together and does like proper episodes of like the Dream SMP. And so I was like going through and watching their videos to try and catch up after a while. And I got to the video when Techno joined the server. And just the way that they did his intro, I love how dramatic he always loves to, like, Techno always was so dramatic and I loved it.
My brother.
He was an
Yeah,
English major, so I mean, I'm not too surprised.
I ran out
Um,
of tissues. Oh. No, fuck. Sorry, I just stained my desk. Oops.
Oh,
Uh-oh. Oh,
Really?
fuck. Okay, this is gonna be a...
Huh?
I scream and I put the thing down and it's melting and it stained my desk. There's circles on my desk now.
No.
Uh-oh.
Like, dude, this desk is like fucking, dude. Oh, when did this desk was like, I got this in elementary school, so it's okay. It's
Oh
not,
my
it's okay.
god.
It's scuffed. This desk is scuffed. There's
Good
stains
job.
everywhere. It's okay.
So this sort of I'm just looking at like our topics that we've got. This one sort of can lead into us talking about like sort of, you know, how we found them and everything. But what about techno actually like inspired you guys?
He was simply
Can I
just
go?
a quirky little guy.
Yeah.
Get my notes. I wrote notes for this.
Oh my god. You came
Is she
prepared.
is so
I should have
prepared.
written note.
She is the most prepared member I've had for this podcast, guys.
Wait. No. My notes are literally just what I put in the Google submission form. I just pasted them into like notes on my computer. Oh, blah, 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 blah. Oh yeah, okay, here we go. So one thing about him that was like really inspiring to me was like his just insane persistence. Like he did not back down ever from a challenge, this dude. Like I know we mentioned it before, the potato war. Like the amount of grinding he did for that was absolutely insane.
Oh
Well,
my
this
god,
is
that
over
reminded me of
potato
like the
war was
fucking
over,
Mhm.
like, 2 years.
yeah,
it was
and the
2
thing is
years.
like I remember the one fucking clip that he has. It's in one of the videos about the potato where he's like, listen, I was grinding potatoes and then my dad was like, can you go to the pharmacy and get my medication? And he was like, am I really gonna tell my dad that I'm not gonna, like, I'm too busy farming potatoes in Minecraft to go get my prescription, like his prescription? And I was like, that was just like so funny to me. It's like,
It's kind of funny,
just
like
kinda
I dropped out
hearing.
of college for this.
It's kind of funny hearing that like little snippet about like Techno Dad, considering, you know, how much we like see Techno Dad now.
yeah, it was, it's so funny how
Yeah.
like when he was like when Technoblade was like creating content, like we never really heard about his, like he kept his family private, which fair enough, like that's
Yeah.
like whatever. I think like I remember there was one clip where like his dad walked in or something like in the background, and that was like maybe like the first and only time we like actually heard like his dad speak.
Yeah.
That was during the. I think that was like the one of the first live action videos, like the first.
Yeah, like because I think he
videos we
muted.
saw.
He was, yeah, because he like muted his Discord, not his mic. So like stream heard everything, right? So or like it was like it was a, like it was a like it wasn't that important of a, it was just a conversation, right? But it was like it was so funny how like he never really talked about like his family like that much. He kept it private because I think because he has younger siblings, right? And at that, like I think when he
Yeah.
first started content creation, they were still in like elementary school, so he wanted to like keep that shit like confidential. And then now, like after he passed, like his dad, like immediately, he's just everywhere, which is like, it was like shocking to
wild.
see, but also like nice, like you know, it's like damn, like
Yeah.
holy, it was like a shock, but like a good kind of shock of like a, because like let's be honest, how many content creators out there, like if they like pass away, like realistically, how many of their families would like continue his legacy or their
Yeah,
child's
exactly.
Not many.
right?
Not many.
Because like, I know my like if I was in that position, my parents wouldn't. My parents don't know what's going on. Like they're like
Same.
they wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's just not the type of, and not just shame. Like it's just not the type of people they are.
I feel like my
So
mom
it's
would
like-
be
Yeah.
someone to like try because she knows like how much like
Yeah.
about all this stuff because I constantly talk to her about it. But like she definitely like she wouldn't be able to
She'd
do
have
it.
no idea.
I think
No.
the most my parents would do would just be like put out like a thing being like, hey, this is what happened. Like what, like just to inform people. That like that would be like
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? So it's like, it's just shocking to see like how like immediately like Techno Dad was like on this and like making sure to keep his son's legacy alive, which
We stand Technodad.
it makes me cry because I'm like, holy shit, like what?
I
Yeah. Like he
honestly-
loved his kids so much.
he must like he would have had to have like sat there with Techno like at the end
Oh,
there and
100%.
had Techno
Yeah.
like run him through, you know, what
Every
happens and
stage.
stuff.
Because I remember in Tommy's video, like there was some like he was showing clips of like the text messages, and I think one of the text messages was Technoblade being like, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get my affairs in order."
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Oh.
I think like I'm sure there was more stuff too, like you know, like what's gonna happen, like where's what gonna go, like how to, like, you know, and but also
Yeah.
like what are they gonna do with his like content, like and like what's gonna
Yeah.
happen with that, right? So like he opened the merch, which is such a Technoblade thing to do, to fucking die
Yeah.
I
and then
know,
be like,
right?
buy my merch, right? And it's like that was like, but yeah.
We plug Techno's merch.
Can we plug Techno's
Yeah.
merch?
Plug
I bought
Techno's
it. I have,
merch. I'll just
I have
still
I bought the
I want
t-shirt.
to buy it so badly, but I have no money.
me and
No, fair enough.
me and Connor, that was like when the merch first came out was when we both sort of like neither of us had money, but then they
But-
did that second
Yeah.
release. And when they re-released it, and it was actually cheaper than the first time they had released it, both me and Connor, I remember this so vividly. We were sat in the car at a service station, like not long after I moved here, and we sat there, and I was looking while he had walked inside, and I realized that it was cheaper and what had just happened, and he comes back to the car and sees me sitting there, like, almost crying, and he's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, Techno merch, and it's cheaper, and I want it. And so we both just sat there and went, fuck it. He sent me money for a hoodie, and I just bought 2 hoodies.
Yeah, I bought.
yeah.
I think I bought the merch the first time it released, but because like, U.S. dollar expensive and I was like, I can't afford the hoodie, but I could afford the T-shirt. Like it was, so I just
Yeah.
bought the T-shirt, and I was content. Like I was like, I don't really give a shit of what I get, so I'm like, I was just like, as long as I get like, because I just wanted like something.
Yeah.
So I bought the T-shirt, and I'm kind of glad I did because, dude, I have so many fucking hoodies. I have too many. It's an issue.
That is a mood.
They don't fit in my closet. I can't.
How do you think I feel? I'm sharing a
too
closet
many.
with Connor.
No, my
Oh,
mom literally
God, yeah.
refuses to buy me more hoodies. She's like, "You have fucking enough." And I'm like, "But mother, hoodies," and she's like, "No, you have enough." And it's like I have to
She's
fight
just
with
like,
her
my
to get me
brother in
hoodies.
Christ, you have 20 fucking hoodies.
That sounds like
I
Connor
have
with
more.
me.
I have like, I want to say I have like a total of like between 30 to 50 hoodies.
Dang.
I mean,
And
I
I've like purged
only
my
ever
closet.
wear
Dude.
jackets and stuff because I'm a medical anomaly. And I
You are,
sweat a lot more than the normal person, so I've always just worn jackets and hoodies. So that is like 90% of my wardrobe.
Yeah,
If-
same.
If
Like,
I
that's
didn't
why
live in
mostly-
Texas, I would have that many hoodies.
Dude, I lived in
I
Darwin, which is
have-
probably pretty similar. Everyone, like any
Texas and
any tourists, because I used to do tour company work, any tourists that came in from America, they all said Darwin felt like Florida. Like Darwin was the embodiment of Florida.
that's because Florida is
Yeah.
a fucking wasteland. I refuse to admit that place actually
Great
exists.
crocodiles.
I
Really.
refuse to admit
Yeah,
that
so that's
Florida is
like-
a real place.
Yeah, I have a lot of hoodies because like in the winter, that's all you wear because it's a fucking freezing cold. So like it's just in the
Yeah.
summer you can't wear hoodies like as much, but like, oh well, that's why I have some. And it's like I just like hoodies. They're comfy and nice.
They are.
They're
So-
awesome.
I love
I literally
hoodies.
start giving away my hoodies to my friends. Like my my roommate she came to visit.
Any excess
and-
hoodie giveaway.
She needed to, yeah, but not like merch. It's like my personal clothing. She needed a hoodie for something because it was like the winter and she was cold. And I was like, and I gave her a hoodie and I was like, you can keep it, honestly. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. So like, I just give away my hoodies to people like my friends.
I do
'Cause
that
I'm like,
too.
I have too many. like,
I
here,
do
just
that
take it.
too.
And it was, oh my god, it was so funny because like I forgot that I gave her that hoodie. I'm sorry, I'm going on a tangent. I forgot that I gave her that hoodie, and then later she was wearing it, and I'm like, oh my god, I have that exact same hoodie, and she's like, you fucking idiot, it's your hoodie that you gave me, and I'm like, sorry.
Autism at its finest.
Yeah, more like ADHD at its finest, but
You know what? Column A, column C.
Yeah.
A little bit of this, a little
Connor's
bit of that. It's a buffet in
Connor's
the
trying to
mental illness
diagnose me with
program.
more
We're gonna
shit.
skip column B altogether. We're going straight to D.
Connor's trying to diagnose me with more mental disorders, and I'm like, I
He
don't
does
need
that
any
to
more.
me,
I'm good
man.
with the.
He does it to me.
I'm like, I'm good. Yeah, but you're special.
Brain is
Lovingly,
Connor is
lovingly.
simply spreading the joy of the silly brain.
I'm spreading the joy of the silly and the goofy.
Thank you for your work. You're doing amazing work.
Me.
Yes.
Connor's the real therapist, not me.
Bro, I was smacked against the door frame when I was like 2 weeks
And I
old.
had my head closed in a cupboard. What's your point?
Right,
That's a
guys,
lot
your
about
dicks
us,
are
doesn't it?
both big.
Yeah,
They're
guys.
trying to
Get it.
out-trauma each other.
Should I put Techno's merch just in the Twitch chat?
Yeah, do it.
Oh yeah.
King.
Yeah, there we go. Techno's merch in the chat right there.
Techno merch.
Where is?
Wait, can I like...
Kuruma?
I need to
No,
move
you
my
cannot.
phone away from my mic so it stops glitching at me.
Oh, they've got plushies now. Holy shit.
Yeah, they just released plushies, I think.
Oh, okay. Hang
It
on.
looks
I'm
so
doing
silly.
this.
I was waiting for Rain to be
Oh,
like,
God.
I want to buy them.
There's a figurine.
Of course I want
There's
to
a
buy a Techno
figurine.
plushie.
There's a
Fuck
figurine as
Technoblade.
well.
There we go.
Aw.
If you guys have my
pin.
stream open right now.
It's so
I
cute.
see
oh
it.
my God.
Wait, I'm gonna like...
Oh, Technoblade. There we go.
There we go. Underneath us all.
Yeah.
There we go. I had
You
to
should
do
put
it.
put them above us.
There we go.
Subscribe to Technoblade, everyone.
Alright. What were we talking about? Right, how Techno inspired us.
Oh yeah, and we went off on a hoodie
Yeah,
tangent.
there we... Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, tangent.
This is what you get for putting a bunch of like ADHD autism people in
Yeah.
one fucking
Right,
room.
yeah.
We just gone.
Okay, I'm gonna go. So, oh wait, I'm gonna put that one above us, is she? So Technoblade, it's a bit funny because like I said this earlier, how like he has never been one of the main creators that like I watched. It was a whole bunch of other people that I watched more than like, you know, him. But one, like, I don't know, he was just a really inspiring guy. Like, he managed to just always be so, like, uplifting in a way.
He's just a goofy little
Yeah.
guy.
Like, he was always just sort of there, and he was sort of just happy to be there. And always just sort of took the shit out of people, but then didn't take any shit back from anyone. And just how, like, I can't remember now, it was too long after the whole hoodie tangent, whoever said, like, how persistent he is. Like, I don't know, there's just so many little things about Techno that really inspired me to start my content creation especially. And I think one thing that always was sort of like that for me was his humor as well. I always wanted to be as funny as Techno was, because he was just so, like, funny without trying, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his humor inspired me the most. That and like watching how he interacted with others, and even though at times it could be awkward, and it never really felt awkward. It kind of just felt like, I don't know, like like watching just friends. Even if he like were to join a tournament, and he never like met the team, he'd still find a way to kind of like include everyone. It kind of felt nice.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's just who he
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
honestly.
He made sure
felt
no
like
one was
that.
excluded.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
felt like such like
Yeah.
a just like a caring person of like to even people like he never even met or like didn't know.
He just always made
I was
sure
like,
that everyone felt comfortable around him. Like,
yeah.
and that
Yeah.
everyone was, there was no one left behind, sort of thing.
Hell yeah.
It was like I guess
Yeah.
like it hit me more because like as someone who's like always like as a kid like I was always excluded like I was always like the
Same.
last pick like whatever like
Yeah.
no one like I was always the last choice. It's like to see someone like that. It's like holy like it's like it's like I don't know how to explain it, but
Reassuring.
like it's like like it's
Kinda.
like fuck I like I'm glad that there's people like out there who are like that and not like all assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Restoring faith in humanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I didn't think of this until now, but another part that really inspired me about techno, it's sort of like on a bit more of a personal note, but I have spoken about this before in the past when me and Uni have done one of our events because we raised money for Cure Cancer.
Yes.
Um, I was born with something called, what is it? Langerhans histiocytosis. And it's a, no one really knows what it is. It's a cancer-like disease. So we don't know if it's actually cancer or if it's just something that is very similar to cancer or what. And it's such a rare thing that doctors, even now, 22 years later, still don't really know what it even is. And
Yeah.
so living with that for so long, it was really sort of inspiring to me to see how techno in those last moments, just how he handled everything, and kept trying to reassure his fan base that he was like okay and all this other shit. Like he was just being so like strong and brave for everyone else. He didn't want he didn't want people to worry for him,
I feel like Techno
Yeah.
had accepted long before that this was his time.
Yeah,
Like he had
Yeah.
really just come to terms with that.
he had.
I-
And watching all that happen and then watching Techno Dad like continue his legacy and everything, it was just really inspiring to me because I don't know anything about this thing I was born with. And I don't know if it could be something that I could just all of a sudden die from in the next 10 years or anything. So it's sort of like being born with something that I don't know much about and watching someone that I looked up to go through this whole battle with sarcoma. It was, I don't know, it just sort of put a different perspective on everything for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's already hard like living with like an illness like or whatever like living with like a but it's like a disease or something that you're like born with or like that you get later in life. But like I think it's even more scary in like your like position in the sense of like this is not like a heavily researched like there's not much like I remember you didn't even know what it was until like pretty recently. Like it wasn't until
Yeah.
like recently
Yeah,
you were
'cause
like, oh
I
yeah, by the way, I
didn't-
have this.
Yeah, because my mum, she
Like-
never told me until, maybe 6 months before I moved.
Pretty much.
And
That's
so,
wild.
yeah, so I've never known about this thing because the doctors sort of always just went like, oh yeah, they'll probably grow out of it. But
But
again, they don't really know anything about it themselves. So
yeah,
because of that, and because my mum sort of hid it from me for so many years, which I understand because she hid it from me because she didn't want me at a younger age where I wouldn't be able to like sit and sort of think it over to sit there and just freak out, you know.
Yeah.
So I understand like why she kept it for so long, but then also getting to, you know, I was probably 20 at the time, getting to that age and sort of learning this new thing. It was a bit jarring. And then
Yeah.
No, it's not like we're. Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're all good. I don't even know what else I'm trying to say.
I was just gonna say, like, learning at such a like late in your life about like a chronic like issue you have that like you don't know, but then also that like you don't really know what's in store because it's not like you know you got diagnosed with like some like Parkinson's disease where like we have so much research and information on the disease and we or like the issue that like we can you know what to expect. It's like well no one knows what this is, like it's such a like no one really knows, so it's like even more scary in a sense because it's like you don't know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the other part of it for me is watching Techno go through this battle. And you know, even though it turned out the way it did, just watching him go through this battle and just sort of accept it and learn to sort of live with it at the end and all like everything that Techno did, it's I don't know, it sort of helped me a bit to like not be so afraid of this thing I was born with because there's not much I can really do about it, you know? I was born with it, no one really knows anything about it. So it's sort of like it helped me to like get over that fear and just learn to live with it and not be so afraid of what the outcome could be, especially because like I'm about to turn 22, you know, like Techno is or was a couple years older than me, so the fact that we're so similar in age as well, it really helped to just sort of like I learned to just take life as it comes, you know? Like just stop worrying
Yeah.
about the things that I can't
Use
control.
money.
I need to start doing that, bro. My anxiety's getting out of fucking control.
Oh, bro, same.
I got great gummies recommend you if you need that.
I think it helped a lot more that us as like viewers and everything were updated as much as we were about
Yeah.
technical edition.
Yeah.
I think mine is I don't know. I feel like I have the because like I know Technoblade was like trying to keep it from us. Like we were all under the impression like that he was okay, he was getting better. Like so when
Yeah.
he passed away, it was a shock to all of us. Like like because
Yeah.
dude, I remember hearing the news. I will never forget this day. I remember I was playing video games. I was on my computer, and in a Discord server, and I saw that Technoblade uploaded a video, right? And but I didn't think I was like okay, like I'll watch it later, right? Because I was like busy, and I remember someone in a Discord server said like, "Yo, Technoblade died," and I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Oh, like I thought he was joking, right?" And then I was like, "Okay, no, let me go watch the video," right? I watched it and I immediately started breaking down, but I think what hurt like why it affected me so much more is because we were all like I mean at least I was under the impression that he was getting better. Like
I
we
was
were,
too.
Yeah.
you know, so like he
Yeah.
made
I
it seem
genuinely
like
thought he would be
he was
fine.
getting better and like death wasn't even like on the table. Like
Yeah.
and I get why he did that, but I think it also like had more like negative effects in the sense
It was
of like
a very
hit us so
jarring
hard.
thing for the whole fandom
It's
to
like
go through.
Yeah.
we were all just
Yeah.
like, okay, he's gonna take like a couple months, maybe even a couple of years off. Like he's gonna stop content. He's gonna focus on getting better, but he's gonna come back, right? We were and like
Yeah.
because like he never made it. Like he again, like he made it seem like death wasn't even an option. Like that was just not gonna happen. Like it just wasn't like a worry, right? It was like just oh, I'm just gonna have to
He'd
take a
be
break
fine.
for as long, but I'll be
Yeah.
back. Like I'll be fine. So when he did die, we were all like under the impression of like, yeah, he's gone now, but like he'll come back. And then we get that news, and we're all like, like we never had like it was more of like, it was never like a, because you know how like, I mean, I've never experienced this personally, but like typically when you have like an older family member or like a family member who's dying because they're old or like have chronic issues, it's like, or like got diagnosed with something like a terminal illness, you like have the time to like, okay, we know what's coming, you have the time to prepare yourself, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like when they die suddenly, you're like hit with grief and like, because you're just like, what the fuck just happened, right? Like
yeah,
I experienced that when my grandfather passed away because like we didn't know, like he seemed fine, like everything was fine. He had a heart attack in his sleep and like, but there was no signs, like there was nothing to like tell us that's like, and he was pretty young, like I think he was like in his 70s, so like he wasn't even like old, like we were like, yeah, he's fine,
yeah.
right? So it's like it was like just like a slap in the face of like just like a whoa, what the fuck just happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I literally, my first reaction, I found out Techno's death through Rain's server.
Yeah.
And you can literally see me go, what? No, no way, no fucking way. And then I went and like rushed to the video and watched it. And I was just sobbing, like in VC.
I remember I was in the middle of D&D, and like I wasn't in like what they were doing for a moment, so I went to go check Twitter, and I noticed like, oh, on my YouTube,
Bad
oh,
idea.
Techno uploaded,
It's
and I checked Twitter and I see Techno trending, and I instantly start. I get a feeling of like worry, and so I click it, and I instantly see like Technoblade never dies, like everything like wishing goodbye, and I'm like, oh, this, no, wait, no, like just kind of starting to freak out. But also, I went to go watch the video, and it hurt even more because I had to tell everybody I was in call with what happened.
Oh my
Yeah.
So they got done with their little scene, and I remember I had to be like, "Hey guys, can we like stop for a second?"
God.
And I broke the news, and we all like deafened watched the video, and we just ended session. None of us could play anymore that day, and it hurt a lot.
Yeah.
I remember like I had like this, I don't know what type of feeling, but it felt like guilt or just a bunch of sadness washing over me, but I couldn't cry for some reason. I don't know. It was just like, I don't know. It was weird.
Dude,
Like, I
remember
wanted to cry about it, but it just hurt. It felt like a stab through the heart.
I remember watching the video and I immediately, because it was in my room, right? And thank God I was home for the summer for this, because if I was alone, like in university, Lord knows that would have been way worse. But I was home and I think it was a weekend, so my mom was home. My dad was at work, but my mom was home. And I was in my room. I watched the video. I started sobbing immediately. And I was like, and then I was like, okay, like, and I stopped crying for a little bit, and then I remembered like going downstairs to tell my mom what happened, just because like I'm like, I need someone to talk to about this. Like my mom doesn't really understand, like she doesn't know, but like I'm like, I have to talk to someone about this, right? And I remember going downstairs and I started breaking down in front of my mom, and my mom's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why are you crying right now, right? Because like I don't cry in front of my parents like that often, and it's like. And especially like when they don't know why, like because like if they see something happen, they're like, okay, we understand why our child's crying, but it's like I go downstairs and I just start, and it's like it's not like a oh like haha, I'm so sad. Like I was like this like sobbing like it was bad, right? So like my mom's like, what the fuck is going, like what just happened, right? And I explained to her, and she's like just trying to like console me, and I'm like, and I remember like I cried the rest of that day, like I was like done for, like I just couldn't like function as a human. And I think it made it worse because my grandfather had passed away like a year prior. So like it was like it felt so close together of like two like important people in my like life like died so suddenly. And like out of nowhere, because like no one was expecting either of like, you know, my family, we weren't expecting my grandfather to die, and then no one was expecting Technoblade to die. So it was like a double whammy of like fuck, well, like two people you really like died within like the span of a year or something like that, right? So it's like
I remember it didn't fully hit me until like I was sort of going to bed, and that's when I like started breaking down, because it felt like it wasn't real at first, for me at least.
It was like there's no way.
Like, I was like, it's like the whole thing of Technoblade never dies. It felt like he just couldn't die. Like, we all thought that he was getting better, and he's now just, and it was just the whole, he's actually gone now.
So
This-
from what Ishi said, I actually just went back into on my phone into the Discord server to go back to the moment when it happened.
Yeah.
And I had completely forgotten most of this. So for me, finding out about Techno and then getting to the end of that day was a real whirlwind for me. So you guys are not going to expect any of what I'm about to say.
I remember it. That day
Yeah.
was fucking crazy.
So it started, it was 11:30 a.m. and one of our friends in the server, Mads, sent a message to the server just simply saying, "Rip Technoblade."
Yeah.
And that wasn't long before I had, or that wasn't long after I'd woken up as well. So it was sort of like I woke up and immediately got hit by this news. Connor was at work that day. So I remember I didn't want to tell Connor because I knew that it would just fuck him up and he was at work. So I tried my hardest to
And I had literally just gotten this job as well. Like,
Yeah.
I had been in this job for what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, something like that. So I was trying so hard to not tell Connor about what had happened. But we had one of our friends at the time living with us, and they ended up taking the day off school because we were both just like, what the fuck? Like, we were both sitting here in shock, like, what the fuck is going on? So we decided to go and get some lunch to take our minds off it and just sort of chill out for a bit and just, not need to think about anything for a while. And then on our way home, we got into a car accident.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So I woke up and then 11:30 a.m. came, the news of Techno dying came, we went to lunch, got in a car accident, and then a few hours later ended up in hospital and didn't get home from hospital until close to 6 a.m. the next morning.
Yeah, that was so
Damn.
fucked. Man.
Yeah, so the whole day of finding out about Techno's death, it was a real whirlwind. And for Connor as well, because he didn't realize that I was in the car with our friend when the accident happened. So when Connor found out I was also in the car, he was like, oh, what the fuck? And so in amongst everything else that was going on, he raced down to come and see us where we were,
Yeah.
I was the rescue squad.
You and your dad were the rescue squad. But so it was because of the car accident happening and everything, and for how long I was in hospital, I didn't actually get much time to properly process the news.
Yeah.
And because while I was in hospital as well, because there were other people that got rushed in after us, I ended up laying from what was it? From 6 p.m. till nearly 3 a.m. I was stuck having to lay flat on my back, staring at nothing but the ceiling the whole time because I wasn't allowed to move in case I had a spine injury. And
oh my god.
so I think a lot of that time I did sort of lay there and just think over everything that happened that day. Because if you would have told me when I woke up that day that I was going to wake up to the news of Technoblade dying and then all of a sudden be in a car accident for the first time in years, it was just that day is just so surreal to me. There was so much that happened.
Yeah. Actually,
The
I
world
went
literally
back
woke up. Oh, sorry.
Go.
I was just saying, the world literally woke up and was like, fuck Rainy Storm. They're gonna have the
Legit,
worst
that
day
was just
ever.
the worst day for me, man. I still get paid in my collarbone, and this is more than a year later,
I remember
I
you
went-
saying that you got into a car
Man's
crash.
really
I was
just
like,
said,
what the fuck,
you
man?
in
I
particular.
remember this too.
Yeah.
But I remember like I just went back onto the Discord server that like because I found it a different Discord server with friends, and literally 10 like this is like 10 p.m. My like and this is all my friend says. My friend just goes, Technoblade died, and I was like, huh? And then he's like, yeah, lost to cancer, tragic. And I'm like, I was like, wait, did he? I'm like panicking, and everyone else in the server starts fucking freaking the fuck out, right? And then I go and I watch the video, like and you can see because I dip, like I'm looking at the timestamps. I dip for like 10 minutes to go watch the video, and I come back and I'm like, yeah, he passed away from the cancer he was fighting, and I was like losing my mind. And I think like an hour, like I started crying, and then like an hour later, I was like, okay, I need to get my mind off of this, and I asked my friend to play Genshin, and we played for a little bit, and then I think it was until the next morning when I woke up, still fresh from this emotion, and then like went to my mom sobbing and crying to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
I
wait,
didn't
Uni,
mention
Uni, I just
Okay.
remembered something. We were in the middle of
What?
Campground Despair during all of this.
You're right.
We
I
were.
think
Kind of
we took a break
ironic.
from it. I think we took a break from it. Like that's why we went on like a
No, because Fire was already out of town for that. But I remember,
Oh my
like,
god, yeah.
I just remembered Campground Despair was happening during it. Because I'm looking back. That would have. Oh my god, the next day would have been a dead body.
Oh,
I'm
you're
not
right,
sure if we.
that happened on Sunday.
The dead bodies
because we
happened
did
on
it-
Fridays, and then we had
that's
trials
right,
on
Fridays.
Sundays. Because I had D&D on
Did it happen
Thursdays.
on Thursday? Oh.
Yeah, it was definitely
Oh
a
my
Thursday because I had class literally like after.
Yeah,
I
had D&D on Thursdays, and I just remember, like we had we were in the middle of Campground Despair, and I was like, oh boy, this will be interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think because we weren't gonna do it because I think Fire was out of town.
Yeah, which that
Or like
was
something.
that was weird timing. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I remember when I found out. It was a day. It was like I found out on Twitter. Remember it was really weird because it was still during the time I still do it. I can't like go to bed without watching videos. And during that time, all I would watch was VODs of Techno's old streams. So I had woken up, turn off his stream, and then like not even an hour later was when the news dropped, and I was like kind of in shock for a minute. The system took it really hard, and they took it really more hard. My Discord server that I ran at the time found out, and we got into voice call. We're all kind of comforting each other. It was just really, it was weird. It was weird thinking like, just thinking of like, I went to bed listening to Techno. At that time, he was still alive, and then at that point, not even 24 hours later, he had passed, and that kind of fucked me for a second.
Yeah, I can imagine. Holy shit.
Yeah,
Mm,
it was like a moment of like, holy shit. It was not fun. And then like that whole week was just really off for me.
Yeah. I think after
Yeah.
being in that car accident, I was off work for the next month. I think nearly 2 months, actually, by the time I started going back to work again. So it was like after everything that happened that day, and then because I spent so much time in the hospital and I didn't really get to think of it, the next day came, and it was just like all I could do was think about the pain I was in, but also like everything that had just happened. So the next day was like a real sort of, you know, big moment for me in processing everything that had just happened. And I sat there for most of the day in pain, just looking, going, what the fuck, man? Like,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
this was when I was working as a lifeguard. So like I had to go back to work, like, I don't think not the next day, but like I think like Saturday, like I worked the weekend. So like going from like just like sobbing my eyes out like every like couple of minutes because like I was in like so much like grief and emotion that like I literally like I would think about him and I'd start sobbing again. Like I
Yeah.
cried so much.
Yeah.
So, like, and then having to like go work like 10-hour shifts and pretend to be fine and like do my job was really fucking hard. But like I couldn't really call out of work because my parents would be like, "Why the fuck are you calling out of work?" Like my parents didn't like my dad definitely wouldn't have understood it, but my mom was like I get it, but also like he's a streamer and I'm like I see where you're coming from, but also like what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't really call out of work for it, which sucked. So I kind of had to like deal with it, but then I would come home and then I'd be like sobbing all over again.
It's
Yeah.
kind
It was
of interesting because I was just like reading back through some more of the messages over like the couple days after it happened. And one of my friends from back in Darwin, CJ, who was also part of TFO, um they're a lot like me, and I imagine Pix will probably relate to this as well, where they're like very spiritual and sort of in that sort of witchy sort of stuff, and they do a lot of these like little luck charms that they make for people. And the
Oh, yeah.
day after Techno died and everything happened, they were getting calls from their friends and they were seeing all the ones that they had made for around their house. All of the luck charms that they had made on that, like, they all broke on the same day when Techno
Yeah.
died and the car accident happened and everything else happened. They were getting calls from their friends saying their luck charms broke. All the ones around their house were all shattered. Like, there was something huge that was just in like the universe in that point in time. Seriously.
Yeah.
yeah. I the time of like his passing was really weird for me. I remember that therapy session was fucking crazy. That week's therapy session was crazy. Miss Ray, shout out to you. Holy shit. Because like he had passed and then not even 2 days later, I get really attached to characters and people. And a show had dropped and my favorite character had passed and it put me through a whole roller coaster. I remember my therapist was just like sitting there wide-eyed. I was supposed to not go that soon, and it was like the day after he passed was my therapy because of all of that. And I was just like, yeah, get your popcorn, Miss Ray. It's crazy.
You're about to
Yeah,
be in a whole new world. Here, I got some shit for you.
Yeah.
No, actually, I'm kind of in the same boat because Technoblade died when when he passed away. Literally less than a week later was the first year, like the day that my grandfather passed away. Like it would have been like the first year. So like, because he passed away on June 30th, and my grandfather passed away on July 6th. So literally 6 days later, I was like grieving again for the loss of my grandfather. So I was like, it was just like it happened all like way too like close together. Where I was just emotionally like mentally like checked out. I was like done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. His passing was hard for the system because it made Nick go dormant for a hot minute.
I
And
remember
not
that.
having a protector there was very weird. Going from like when things were to happen, we'd have someone to fall back on, but then at that point, with him dormant and us knowing he needed his moment to grieve and think it through and not having anyone to rely on, it kind of shifted to Richie being the protector, and that was fucking awful. Shout out to, I mean, he,
Shout out to Richie.
That's the only thing that made
Tried his
Connor come
best.
back alive for that minute.
Shout out to Richie.
I, Like, he did it, but
Absolute
also,
king.
God, I remember because of how awful he was doing, it kind of brought Nick
He
out
was
of being
trying
dormant.
his best.
We lost our job because of him.
Oh my
Oh my
god.
god.
Best.
So like within the same like week, we at the end of the week we lost our job, and it was just awful.
Oh god.
Oh.
That's where I'm really glad that even though I still have pain from it, I'm kind of glad that I did get in the car accident on the same day because of the fact that we like literally, so with the accident we were driving down the expressway doing like 90 kilometers an hour when we fully smashed into some guy's rear end. Like, we weren't going slow, like we were fucking speeding down there, you know. So like I was glad that it happened though, because it meant that with the injuries I had so much time off work that I didn't need to actually like call in or anything like that. I could just sit there and exist for a while without having any responsibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a question. Well, more Techno has a question, but he doesn't really want to talk, so he's making me do it.
Okay.
It's sort of more a question, like it's for everyone, but especially more for like Pix and Connor as well. As like fellow systems, how did it affect you guys, since, you know, we all have DSMP alters, when it was the 1 year of his passing? And for the others, like, he wants you guys to like see how you felt as well, but he's especially curious in how us DSMP alter systems sort of handled that 1 year.
Oh God. It was very bittersweet. It was kind of like a re-grieving set moment, but it kind of also let us like. It wasn't more so of Nick going dormant and being isolated like he did the first time. It was more of a, okay, I'm ready for you guys to kind of like be there with me and help me, which was a big character arc for Nick. I mean, shout out to Nick. That was a huge thing. He's not usually like
yeah.
that, so that was like, fuck yeah. And this past year, since it's kind of crazy to think, Dream SMP wise, everything that's happened in the Minecraft community in the past year.
It's been full on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been crazy. So having that moment and being able to like light a candle and like kind of have a moment to like sit down and think about it was kind of nice.
Yeah. I think pretty much since the anniversary. Oh, sorry. Pretty much since the anniversary, Techno has been in the front room with us. It was sort of hard because Techno, like, we split with Techno after like the death, you know? And Techno, it's a bit weird because he is like canon, like Dream SMP Techno, but the longer he's been here and the more stuff that's happened, and especially with the anniversary of Techno's passing, he's sort of like, and especially everything that's happened like regarding Dream SMP as well, he's sort of learning to split away from being specifically Dream SMP canon Techno, and sort of he's starting to relate a bit more with how just content creator Techno was. So when the anniversary of his passing came up, it was pretty difficult because he didn't really know how to feel. he was very numb in a way. So pretty much ever since the passing, even now still, he's pretty much just been in the front room with me and Alex. Because he just hasn't wanted to be alone, really. And how has Wilbur handled it? He's not even paying attention. Okay.
No,
Fucking
I'm
dead.
crying. Face is fucked right
I know. Techno just wants to know how Wilbur took the anniversary of his passing.
A lot of alcohol.
Valid.
Period. So real.
Wilbur was pretty much drunk for 3 days. That's why he was like, he like locked himself in his room and he was drunk for 3 days.
Valid.
Don't
Wilbur
blame him
Soot,
if
the
I.
alcoholic. I can't move on my fucking bed anymore because I've got the laptop on one side and the dog on the other.
Sounds like a you problem. And Ishi, Dark, and Uni, how did you guys sort of handle the 1 year?
Yeah. Yeah. You go.
I was gonna. I try to just take it a step at a time, basically, because Techno it still is one of the biggest influences in my life, because his videos helped me get through like my parents' divorce and my grandparents going through all their health problems, and the 30th was rough. But I just kept watching the videos and like just sitting there like this is this is why I do content. This is why I try to make people smile. Is because so then I can be like Techno and be able to do what he was able to do. And that kind of just got me that little mindset got me through the day and was able to just get me through it. And also just the support of like all my friends cuz everybody was going through it that day. We all just wanted to get through together.
Yeah. Mm. Do you want to go or?
Oh, I was just wait. I didn't know if you wanted to go first. I was just waiting.
Oh, I don't mind.
Okay. I think like I don't think his first year anniversary hit me as hard because I had grieved so much like already where I was like I found that I came to like a point where I was like I kind of like accepted the fact that he was gone, but like I was like if I found that of myself that I was a little bit more like okay, this is gonna sound really weird when I say this, but like just like let me explain. I found that like when the first year anniversary, I was like really happy in the sense of like because I saw like it didn't feel like a year had passed. And
Mm,
I was coming from a place of like a we like us like his fans, Techno Dad, like we kept his memory alive so well
Yeah.
for a full year and continue to do so that like no one ever forgot about him. He wasn't like when because a lot of the times when like unfortunately when people pass, even like when content creators pass away, like it's a talk for like a little bit, like a couple months, but then like kind of forgotten about, right?
Yeah.
But it was like when Technoblade passed away, like when the first year anniversary came, I was like, holy shit, it's been a year. Like it doesn't feel like it's been a year. Like it felt like he was always there with us. And I'm like, and so like I was a little bit more of like a I tried to take it a little bit more positively in the sense of like a wow, like we
Yeah.
like he did so many great things and like after he passed away, like a lot of people like decide like kept like we like his father, like his friends, like all kept his memory alive to the point where like we kind of like in a positive way forgot about it because we were like, well, he's right here, like he's in front of our face, like he's not really gone, right? Like it never felt like he really left,
Yeah.
if that makes
yeah.
sense. Even if he's not physically here, like spiritually, like I feel like, or like emotionally, like I feel like he's still here with us. And so I think that's why like I took his like first year like anniversary better than probably other people did, because I just thought of it that way of like like even though he's like physically not here like anymore, and like yeah, he's not going to be making any more content, like, but like it still feels like he never left.
Yeah.
So like that's why
Um,
I'm kind of weird about it, because it was really jarring to like, I mean, like I understood why people were grieving and like everyone was like upset about it and like sad about it, but then I was here and I was like, I'm actually kind of like happy. If that make like, it feels weird because it's like a like juxtaposition basically of like emotions, but like I don't know. I just like
mm.
wanted to see like the positive like side of things.
Yeah, literally remember like throughout the year after his passing, there was so many times where Technoblade was trending on Twitter. Like just with like the outpouring of love and like fan art and like tributes and stuff. Like it trended like heaps of times that year. Like months after the video had come out and everyone knew.
It's his
Um
most viewed video still.
yeah. Yeah. Um oh, what was I gonna say? I had something in my brain and it's flying away from me. Come back. Oh,
Your brain's
shit.
just saying no.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I was all right like this year. Like it was like, damn, it's really been a year. And it was like really nice to see people posting more tributes and stuff on Twitter. Like I remember scrolling through the tag and being like, hell yeah, we're keeping his memory alive. Like literally how you
Yeah.
said, like it was really like almost inspiring, and I was like proud of the fan base for not like leaving him behind. Like through the entire year. Like there was just non-stop support. It never stopped.
Honestly,
But what actually oh sorry.
no, you go. You can go on.
Okay. What fucked me up was Tommy's video that came out. Um
Still
Oh my
refuse to
God.
watch it.
it hurt so much. Like he gets emotional and it was like fuck man, because Tommy didn't really did Tommy do a tribute for Techno till now? I feel like
No,
I
he
don't
did
remember.
something at, what was it, VidCon or whatever?
Oh no, he did something in this show.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Technoblade Never Dies. But like that video felt like one of like obviously Tommy has talked about it on like streams and stuff, but that felt like oh I don't know, like a real like official um one, like a really raw, like emotional like Tommy being really honest with his fan base about like how much it affected him, and it was just like fuck man.
Yeah.
'Cause
Honestly,
yeah.
Techno's fan base is one of the nicest fan bases I have really ever been a part of. And
Yeah.
just sitting back and watching the fan base as it was all happening, and then with the 1 year, just everyone when it comes to techno is so respectful. And it's one thing you don't really see, because I've been in the Minecraft YouTuber community for,
Yeah.
a long time. Like, since, like, yeah, forever. Um, and I've seen so many different ups and downs of the Minecraft community and the fandoms, because I've been on Twitter since like 2014, So I've
Yeah.
seen so many ups and downs of so many different fandoms and so many different deaths and everything. But watching how the fan base acted around Techno's death, it was really nice. Everyone was so respectful. Everyone respected even all the content creators that were Techno's friends. Like, everyone knew that this was something to not be joked over, or to not like torment, Techno's friends or anything. Everyone just sort of let themselves be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I feel like
I
that's
was
like a hard thing, is content
I was
Yeah.
creators and their friends you know, especially being such large content creators that they all are, it would be really hard for content creators to lose a friend but then have their fan base constantly pestering them about it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember back to just kind of like Tommy's video. I remember like I saw him like because I saw it. I got the notification for it, and I was like, I didn't watch it until like I think like a week after maybe, because I was like I can't, like I knew I wouldn't, like I wasn't like, I was just like I can't watch this right now. So like I watched it like later, and I'm kind of glad I did that because I'm sure like that would have just kind of like brought me back just seeing everything, because it's like
Yeah.
I think with like, I mean, it was sad for everybody, especially his friends, but I feel like for like, and obviously this is not to like compare because like griefs or whatever, but for Tommy it must have been like harder because first of all he's younger, right? Like, you know, I think he's like around like he's 18 or something like that.
Yeah.
He was really close with Techno, like looked up to him, and then became best friends with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tommy
Never
is a
got to
lot
meet
like
him in
us, you know?
person.
Like,
Yeah.
Techno was a really
Hmm.
big inspiration for him to become a content creator. Like, he is so similar to a lot of small streamers in that way.
Yeah.
But also because he was the only one out of like Sleepy Boys to like not meet him.
Yeah. Oh god, I forgot
Oh.
about
Because
that.
Wilbur and Phil were able to meet him. Like and I don't know why like Tommy couldn't, but like he never ended up like actually like meeting him, and I feel like that's so much harder to like.
Yeah. And because they
Yeah.
kept it from Tommy at first as well.
Yeah, they didn't want to tell him, which understandably so, because it's like they knew he would take it the hardest probably. Like, and I'm sure he did.
Technoblade was Tommy's like biggest inspiration. Technoblade has always been someone that Tommy constantly talks about and always honors. Like, from like, I haven't really watched Tommy very much himself, but in every video that of his that I have watched or stream that I've tuned into, you know, he always makes sure that people know how important techno was to him. Like,
Yeah.
uh he would always do something for techno to like honor him, because Tommy knows that without techno he probably wouldn't be here, you know, doing the things
Yeah.
he does.
I watched a lot. I watched Tommy like back before he exploded. I think I found Tommy through SMP. So he was still he wasn't tiny, but he was still like growing a fan base slowly.
Smaller
And
than he
like I
was now.
remember, yeah, I remember watching his old like Hypixel videos, and he would just talk about techno, and like you could see that he really looked up to him. And then watching him like go through and like slowly grow, and then get to meet techno in SMP Earth, and then like slowly become friends with him like over the base of like Dream SMP and stuff like that, and then to watch Tommy lose techno. Oh my fucking god, man!
It hurt.
Like
Yeah.
It hurt
it's
so much.
heartbreaking.
Because I feel like to Tommy, techno was like a big brother to him.
Yeah, literally, literally. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Alright, there's a couple, there's two more topics that I want to bring up for the remainder of the podcast. This one I'm gonna start with because it sort of leads into the whole conversation of what we have been talking about. And it is how Techno's death affected you versus like other celebrity deaths.
Ooh. I think I've ever experienced like I mean, not that I remember anyways. I don't think anyone like that I looked up to or like really enjoyed their content like passed away. I might be forgetting somebody, but I feel like Technoblade was the first person where I was like, I like watched his content and liked him as a person, and then passed away.
I think for
Yeah.
me, the only other deaths that have sort of really affected me throughout my life have been, so one major one for my childhood was Robin Williams.
Yeah.
His death really affected me as a little 13-year-old, having grown up on his movies. And then the only other sort of recent one that got to me was Avicii. So
Avicii died?
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh fuck!
he
I
died a
didn't even
few
know
he
that.
died a few years back.
We're fucking like bringing Ishi back to like,
Oh my
yeah, I
God.
remember that. I remember Avicii dying, but
Yeah.
I don't think I liked his music, but I wasn't as into him as like I am to other people. Like I would just kind of like listen to his songs because I grew up with
he
them.
was like one person
Like-
that me and mum really liked and would listen to together, because like we loved sort of like the message behind a lot of his music. And so those, like Robin Williams and Avicii, are pretty much the two celebrity deaths that have affected me the most, because they're like the only two that I really, remember, that have sort of ingrained themselves in my brain. But even then, I think techno hit me harder than
Yeah.
either of them could. And I think for me, I feel like that comes down to I don't know, it's sort of like this feeling like techno, like we're sort of closer to techno compared to like actual full celebrities like Robin Williams or Avicii,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Techno
I was gonna say,
felt
like-
closer, like more accessible sort of thing.
And he was like a relatable. He was just a
Yeah.
dude. He was
Felt
just a
more
guy.
personal.
Yeah, felt more
Yeah.
I think it's
personal.
also because like with artists or like celebrities, like you don't really get to know them on a personal level because like that's just not like that's not possible in a sense. Like you just kind of like they're like because they're so mainstream in a sense. But with streamers, it's a little bit different because it's like that's the whole point. Like it's like you're live streaming to people, like you're talking to people. So it's like you're gonna get like make a more personal connection or like a closer connection than you probably would with an artist or like a celebrity or like a public figure, right?
Yeah.
So it's like
I think with me, like I'm still fairly young. I'm only 16. I haven't experienced as much death in my life as like most people. And like I've stated before, techno was like my biggest inspiration for a lot of the stuff that I do. And so his passing, it just it felt like I lost somebody that I'd want I'd gotten to see grow and inspired to be. Like before I rebranded, my brand was heavily inspired by techno, having a crown and cape and everything. Just because I was like, I want to be just like him. It just felt like your hero dying in a sense, I guess, for me.
Yeah.
And it still hurt a lot. And also it's the fact that he died so young, I think.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he was still very young when he passed away. That was like there's so much more that we know he would have done for the community, for his content, everything, but we'll never know, which I think is the part that hurts.
Yeah.
He would have done a lot.
I'm just like scrolling through a list because I know there was others that sort of affected me on the very similar level as techno. And So one of the other ones that kind of got me, who's not on sort of that same techno level, but Mac Miller, when he died as well, that got to me a fair bit because it wasn't long before that I'd sort of started properly listening to his music. So because that was such like a short time period between my sister getting me into his music to him dying, that was just a real like shock to me, that one. But
Yeah.
the other one who I sort of grew up watching on YouTube, who was a real shock just because of how it happened, was Christina Grimmie. So she died in 2016 because a fan shot her at her meet and greet.
What the fuck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this.
That was sort of at the peak of when I was sort of starting to go into one of my phases of not being super into YouTube at the moment because a lot of stuff was going on. But because of like the time it happened, that was like when I found out what happened, it was such a shock to me because that's what made me realize like, hang on, doesn't like, because that was about when I first started doing like, YouTube, not properly, but like, I thought I was gonna be a YouTuber,
Yeah.
and so finding that out and hearing about when that happened, I sort of sat back for a while and I was like, maybe this content creation thing is scary because as like, I was 15 or not even. I was like still 14 when she died. And so that was like a whole thing that made me sit and go, huh, there is people who will claim to be fans of you but actually want to hurt you. Like, it was a whole big thing in my brain of like, what the fuck? It was sort of one of those moments that made me realize how bad people can be.
How fucked up the world is.
Yeah.
Psychology. Yippee.
Right. So I think she's probably the only other death that had sort of hit me, and especially because on the other fact that she was 21 as well, like the age that I am now.
Dang.
So it was like,
this year.
it was crazy just experiencing her death and finding out everything that happened about it. I think that's pretty much the only other death for me that has been sort of on the same level as Techno's, where it feels like she was closer than the bigger celebrities.
Yeah.
I feel like also it's a little bit different when like people die in like brutal like ways like that
Yeah.
than like a terminal illness or like
Yeah.
because the thing with terminal illnesses or like illnesses where you're like death is a possibility, it's not in a sense sudden, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it's like it's a possible, like this is like okay, like with cancer, right? Some people recover and whatever and don't die, but then like some people do. But it's like at least right? Like you're like okay,
Yeah.
well this is a possibility, but like with shit where it's like you it's just like you're minding your own business and then one day you're just fucking dead. It's like whoa, like to other people because no one expects it. Like I mean, even with Technoblade, like I think a lot of people like even though like he was saying like I think I'm gonna get better, like da 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 da, like I think like deep down some of us kind of like were expecting it.
I feel like
Because
I
it's
was
like
one of those people.
Like it is like cancer, right? So it's like we knew it's a possibility, right? Like even if we were expecting it or not, we're like okay, but it's still a possibility. It's on the table, right?
Yeah.
But like shit like this happens where it's like like people get like murdered or like just die unexpectedly in like accidents or whatever. It's like you don't have that like time to be like okay, this is like a possibility, so like this can't happen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost kind of like thinking back on things like murders, like it could have been prevented in some ways. I guess you think like, oh, what if things had been different? What if that person hadn't passed away? Because like with the
What
person
if
you
they didn't
mentioned,
do this?
Rain.
Or like,
Yeah, well, like, what if there was like a security guard that was like able to stop and apprehend the person before they shot them? That kind of thing. There is actually there is a death in my life that isn't a celebrity, but I remembered it while you guys were talking, and it made me realize that it was very similar because it was actually a teacher at my primary school that was incredibly like loved through the entire school. Um, and I remember like sitting in class and the teacher like telling everyone that like he'd passed away, and it was like, what the fuck? And I remember like that day for school, we just didn't do anything. Like there was no classes on. We just all mourned because this teacher that like was really popular and really loved through the entire school was gone all of a sudden. And like we were really young as well. Like there were little tiny kids um who were almost dealing with like the first major death in their life, but there was like that communal aspect because the entire school was going through the same thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was definitely reminiscent of how like the entire fan base mourned Techno and like kept his memory alive. Like I know my school did memorials and stuff. We actually did like a show that we dedicated to him that won like national awards, which I was a part of.
Hell yeah.
And what else did we do? There was like the school put on like counseling programs, like we did stuff with
Yeah.
Beyond Blue. So yeah, it was almost, there's definitely some parallels there in just
My
like
school did the same a
Yeah.
few times. Not with teachers, but where I lived in Darwin, it was a very small like community, and a lot like there was a lot of accidents that happened up there because it's such a, you know, middle of nowhere sort of town in Australia. So we had a lot of deaths happen up there.
Yeah.
And because it's such a small town, at least half of the deaths you hear about, you will know at least someone who knew them. And so there was so many times when our schools would bring in counselors and sort of just let us have more chill days.
I swear your school
Because
just had those motherfuckers on speed dial.
pretty much, honestly. And we would just sit there, but there was only really one of those deaths that actually got to me because I had worked with his twin brother. And so I actually like had spoken to him a fair few times and knew him. So that was really the only death that actually affected me, and at that point that was so far into our schooling that I actually had my license at that point. And so me and my couple friends who we all knew him, we literally just got in my car and just left school and just went to McDonald's and just sat. Like, so we were just like, nah, fuck school, we can't do this. We went to McDonald's and then we went home, like back to my house, and told my mum what was going on. And she was like, yeah, no, chill here, guys, you're fine.
That reminded me
Yeah.
of like 4 different. I like because this is like just. I've had 4 different 4. What do I think now? I've had 4 different run-ins with cancer, like not for myself, but like just of people I knew. The first one was, and 2 of these were in elementary school. This was like, and I was like, I think. I remember there was just one girl who was in my year. She had cancer. I don't know what kind, but because I wasn't really close with her, but like we were just like we were in the same grade, we had classes together, right? And she had cancer, and like I remember like she would miss school a lot. Like she had to shave her head. Like it was a whole thing, and like that was like the first like ever like run-in I had with like someone I knew like who had cancer. She's alive. Like she's great. Like from what I've seen, like she beat cancer. Like she's she's like, I don't know what she's doing right now. I don't really keep, like, again, we weren't that close, but like, she survived. And then the next run-in we had was with one of our teachers, and I will never forget this because we had two teachers with the same last name, and
Oh.
one of them ended up passing away from cancer. This is the same school, same elementary school. She ended up passing away from cancer, and we turned one of the rooms like in the lobby, because our elementary school was like fucking huge for some reason. Like we had like over 1,000 students in the elementary school. It was insane. So in the lobby of like the school, on the left we had like the office, and then on the right there was like this like little room that like people used for like, I remember like we did like we have this like what the hell are they called, like the gifted, like we did gifted tests in there. I don't know if you guys know what those are, but like that room got changed into more of like a memorial room for her. And then Technoblade was, like that happened. And then
Yeah.
recently, I want to say within like the past year or something like that, one of my aunts who were really close, like on my dad's side, were really close to, like we go to like her house all the time. Like she hosts all the holidays, like da 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 da. She got diagnosed with cancer, and we like put on hold, like she didn't host like any holidays, like nothing like that. Like we put that on hold because she was dealing with her treatment, like cancer treatment, and like was like she wasn't feeling well, she was feeling sick, and she was losing hair too, because chemo does that too. And it like, and she's good now, she's recovering. Like we had it was some I think her husband's birthday in May, I believe, or May or April, and they hosted again. So like we like that's all starting up. So it's like she's like, thank God she's getting better, because like she's such a like a sweet and caring person, and like just such a, like we're really close to her, because I think she's my dad, like my grandma's sister, I believe. Come on, Bella. But yeah, so it's like I've had so much, like so many people who I either knew or like was close with, and it's like it's weird, because it's like and I remember with my aunt, like my parents didn't tell me, like they kind of kept it from me, I think because I was in university too, right? This was like, so like they didn't really tell me this, and I don't think it was until like about my aunt, and like this wasn't until like I came home, and we were in the car going somewhere, like all four of us, and my parents were just talking with each other, and they're just like, and they like brought up that my aunt had cancer, and I was like, what? Like they didn't tell me, and that's how I found out. And they're like, oh, you didn't know? And I'm like, yeah, because no one fucking told me. Like I was like, no one said anything to me, right? So I was like, that was like a really big worry as well, because I think this happened after Technoblade passed away. Like this is when we found out, so it was like a fuck, like I can't lose someone again, because that would have been like the third year in a row that I had lost someone that like was close to me or like I looked up to. So thank God she's okay. She's great.
Yeah.
She's healing. She's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's cancer free, but like she's like really close. So I'm like, thank the Lord. But like,
Yay! That kind of reminded me of, because I've only had 2 cancer experiences when it comes to at least my life. When one of them being Techno, but the other one being my grandma. And it actually, it scares me a little bit, because I think Techno's death also affected me in this sense. My family has a long line of history with cancer. Like a bunch of my family has passed away due to cancer. It's especially on my mom's side, and when my grandma got it, it was like 3 months after we all found out that Techno had cancer. So it was both of, okay, like somebody that helped practically raise me, and my like biggest inspiration both have cancer. Oh, this is bad. And luckily she got better and she's been cancer free, but it's still worrying
it's hard,
for me. I might be young, but it's still the fact of there's a good chance that in the future I'll most likely have it that I'm terrified about.
Yeah, that's the thing
Yeah.
about cancer. It's like it it doesn't care. Like they don't. It doesn't. It just doesn't care. Like because like the girl that got it, dude. We were like in the third grade when she had it. So like,
Or
how old are you? You're like 10 maybe in the third grade. Yeah,
jeez.
something like that. So it's like it's scary. Like yeah, you're young, but like it can happen to anybody, and it's like such a like a and it always happens to the like the great people. Why like it's always the good people that get like terminal illnesses and like pass away from it. It's like it's never the or like just die. It's never the like the shitty fucking humans that like and it just
Yeah.
it
Oh
annoys me
my
because like
god.
I mean I don't
Sorry.
like I don't like death. I don't like killing people. I don't agree with like that whole thing. But I'm like listen,
Because
if you're
sometimes
gonna
murder is justified.
well, I'm not like not murder, but like I mean like just like listen, sometimes I can make an exception and like why don't we just like why can't like a shitty person who's done a lot of bad things, like why can't they be the, like why does it have to be the good people, you know?
Yeah.
Like and I feel really bad for saying that because it's like a morally like a conflicting
But it always
thing.
seems to be like that,
The
though.
good
Every
people.
time someone dies, it's someone great. And I always hear everyone around me always go, why couldn't it have been someone worse? Like,
It's like not saying these bad people like deserve dying. It's like like
oh,
it's very
saying.
conflicting. It's like a very like morally gray area, but it's like fuck, like why can't like why is it always like the best people? Like
Yeah.
and like I'm not even just talking about like your average Joe of like a like they're just like a regular person living life, but it's always like the people who like go above and beyond and like Technoblade, like you know, like he was not just like your average streamer. Like he wasn't just like a regular like he like did really good things and like helped a lot of people and was like there
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Like he wasn't just your average guy. He went like above and beyond and then it's like why is it always people like that who end up dying in one way or another?
Yeah.
And like and
Yeah.
not from old age or like you know, it's always like it's just oh it annoys me.
It always ends up like that.
Yeah.
This on the same topic, but like um my dad had a friend who he and this was like a shocking death. So he was like he had twins, like twin daughters, and like mom wasn't in the picture. Like he, it was like he was a single father, like raised them by himself with like the help of grandparents. And he also did like drag racing, but not like the RuPaul kind, the like car kind.
Oh.
So I have to clarify that now because like I was talking about it. I'm like, oh yeah, like my dad's friend, she's a drag racer, and everyone was like, oh, so he's a drag queen, and I'm like, no, like the cars, like he vroom vroom. So like really like, and we went to like one of his shows. Like we watched like it was like a really like cool experience. I got my flip flops stuck on the tarmac because it's sticky. Broke my flip flops doing that.
Oh my
Best
god.
idea. And like I remember like me and like him and my dad were like really close. Like my dad doesn't have a lot of like close friends, like people he considers like close to him, and that's just like how he is. But he was like a really close friend to him. And then one day, my dad was like, "You remember like so and so?" And me and my brother were like, "Yeah." And then he's like, "Well, he passed away." And we're like, "Oh shit!" Like what happened because like he was healthy, like he never thing, and he got murdered by
Oh
someone.
shit.
What?
They yeah, and I don't think they ever found out who did it.
Oh my
um
god.
and so that like that I think that was like the second time I ever saw my dad, because my dad doesn't cry, like he's not like that type of he's not really an emotional person, like that's just like who he is. um I think the first time I ever saw him, like the 2 times I ever saw him cry was the first time was they were rewatching like my mom like their wedding videos, and he was crying over that. And then the second time was at his friend's funeral. And it was like it was very jarring like to see and so unexpected. Because it's like also by the way, like I live in Canada, right? So it's like not saying murder and crime doesn't happen here because it definitely does. But it's like especially recently there's been a lot of shit fucking going on in the 2 cities that I live in. It's brutal. But it's not like it was really like we don't like, and especially like when crime does happen here, you're like, yeah, it happens, but it never happens to me, right?
Yeah.
So it's like cuz and I grew up in not in Toronto but like really close to it. Like I would go to Toronto all the time, right? And that's like a fucking crime, like especially the TTC. Like someone just got stabbed on the TTC like Thursday.
Jesus.
Oh,
And
shit.
everyone was like, yeah, typical Thursday on the TTC. Like that's just like normal for us. But it's the whole like thing of like but it never happens to someone close to us. Like it's a psychology thing of like, oh, like it'll never happen to me, right? Like everyone like thinks like that. But then when it does, you're like, what the fuck? So like
Yeah.
when we found out that he not only passed away, but that he was murdered by like he got like someone else killed him, right? We were even more like a what the fuck, right?
Yeah.
And like also just the fact that like he left his daughters were like I think they're older than me, so like they were I think like 18 or 19 at the time,
Oh,
like
shit.
but just like being raised by your like only parental figure, like and like they did like he did everything for them, and like to lose them in such a like again shocking way because no one was expecting it,
Yeah.
right? So like all one day just being like, yeah, like my dad like da 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 like I'm going to this like whatever, like having like goals talking with their dad, and then just like waking up one day and being like, yeah, he's gone. It's like I can't imagine like how that must feel for them.
Yeah.
Oh my
And it's just
god,
like,
Fufa. Get up
what's
on
the
the
rat
bed.
doing?
Sorry, guys. My dog for the last like half hour has been trying to jump up on the bed, but she keeps failing.
Nope, you're wet.
Oh, and now Connor put her on the
Aw.
floor.
Nope, she
Put her on the bed.
has wet feet.
Oh my god! Speaking of I have a dog. For those of you who don't know, I have a dog
Milo!
named Milo. He's a little puppy. And for the
No!
longest time wasn't able to jump onto the couch, so we had to pick him up on the couch, right? But he's also teething, so like if we would put him onto the couch, he would start biting at you, and you'll just put him on the floor because you're like, okay, you're banished from the couch because you're biting, right? He knows how to jump onto the couch now.
Oh god.
Oh, no.
Yesterday, he jumped onto the couch, started biting me, so I put him back on the floor, and then he would run around the coffee table and jump back onto the couch. So it's like I'm just
Oh
like
my
throwing him
God.
off the couch.
That is what Fufa used to do, and she would do that, but like torment Banjo at the same time. So
Oh my
you would
God.
have this little white fluffy Maltese running through our house, jumping over the couch, over the coffee table, running around, under the table, all over the house. And then you would just see this huge ass Rottweiler chasing her through the house, sliding around the corners because our floors were wood, slide around the corner, bang into the coffee table, bang his head into the table.
Oh,
Like,
no.
Oh, Milo did that too.
Banjo
Milo,
was
yeah,
a little bit slow.
Milo, when he was a puppy, he could like because our coffee table's kind of lower to the ground. But when he was because he's still a puppy, but like when we first got him, he was little tiny. He's like a toy poodle Shih Tzu Pekingese like mix, so he's like very fucking small. So when he was like a puppy, like 8 weeks old, 9 weeks old, he was able to go underneath the coffee table like without a problem. But now that he's like growing bigger, anytime he goes under the coffee table, he always bangs his head against it because he's not used to like ducking under it, which is so funny to me. He's a little rat though.
My
love
dog
them.
would do the same thing. My dog, I remember
Goggles.
when we first got her, like we would just have to like pick her up and bring her everywhere. But I was streaming one time. I think it was during Campground Despair because I got her during it. She like I didn't even hear her open my door. Like I had it slightly open. She just opens it, jumps onto my bed, and just starts barking at me. And I'm like, what the
Oh my God.
hell are you? And I turn, I'm like, she's on my floor. I turn, she's like looking right next to me, like arm, like her paw on my chair. I'm like, how the hell did you get there?
Milo
Like,
can't
how?
go up and down the stairs. He's still too young to go run up. He can't climb the stairs yet. And he's like really attached to my mom. So my mom will literally like go upstairs or go downstairs, and he'll just be sitting at the bottom of the stairs barking, like and whining for her. And like it's like especially like because I'll be down there, right? Like I'll be on the main floor like doing something, and my mom will run upstairs. He will like he's like he doesn't care that someone else is there. He's like my mother left me on the main floor, and he's just sitting there barking, and I'm like, Milo, I'm right here, buddy. And he's like, no, I don't want you.
Here's a question: does your mum feed Milo?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I think
so
it makes up my mom and my dad.
Yeah.
all our dogs, so what happens is they all follow around the person who feeds them. They don't care about the person who gives them the love.
No, it's always the feeder.
I think it's a mix.
My dog is
I
the
think
same.
I think it's a mix between my mom and my dad. I think it just depends on who's home.
Yeah.
But also, my mom spends the most time with him, because it is technically her dog. But also, like, feeds him. But also, the reason why I don't think he's attached to my dad as much is because my dad traumatized him in the sink, like not on purpose. Because Milo had shit on his fur because he's like a fluffy dog, and my dad was like, "Fuck, we have to clean you. Put him in the sink in the as we have a big like sink in the laundry room." And Milo did not like that at all, because he was trying to like clean him, and so that traumatized Milo, so he doesn't like my dad anymore because
Oh
of
my
that.
god. All right,
Oh,
on this conversation of dogs, I think it's a good point to end off.
Yeah.
Now that my dog is
Alright.
now laying on the wheels of Connor's chair, so I can't
Oh
move.
my God.
Oh
Right.
no.
All right.
Aw.
Thank you guys for joining me today. For the stream, Pix had to go deal with some stuff before, so they couldn't join
leave early.
for the end, but that's okay. For anyone who's gonna watch this on YouTube, their links will be in the description. And for you guys who have joined me, let's go down the list and just tell the stream where they can find you on social media. Ishi, if you want to begin.
Yeah. So I am on Twitter, unfortunately. Possibly not for much longer if the website burns and explodes. I'm Ishi Fishy on everything, but yeah, I'm on Twitter, Tumblr. I have a dead YouTube. Used to stream on Twitch. I might stream on Twitch again eventually. I also have a card that's linked on most of my socials, which just has all my links on it and stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Do you want to say anything, or
If you want to know where you can find me, don't. You will not find me.
cool?
Connor doesn't exist. Actually, he's just
He
a
doesn't.
figment of all of our
Yeah, he's
imagination.
a
Yeah,
figment
Connor
of
isn't real.
imagination.
Yeah.
I am
We're all
brain
mass
putting-
mass
I am
hallucination, mass
brain's
hysteria.
AI. I am an AI.
Oh my god. Phoenix, if you want to go next.
Hi. You can find me on Twitch at That Dark Phoenix, or on Twitter, sadly, at That Dark Phoenix. It's That Dark Phoenix everywhere else, but for some reason, Phoenix on Twitter. I'll probably be live
Yeah,
at some
was
point this
gonna
week.
ask
I
you
don't
about
know.
that. I was like, did you change it?
Yeah. Look, it's the Mr. Phoenix joke, alright? It's worth
Oh,
it.
okay, fair.
It was
got
funny.
you.
I was trying to like tag you on Twitter, and I was like, I swear I remember the Twitter was different. Wasn't it like Phoenix or something?
Yeah. Okay. The whole joke is that it's one letter off penis. That is literally the entire joke.
Yeah, I remember it was a huge in Campground Despair. We would always make fun of you for that. Mr. Penis Man, what do you have to say?
Mr. Penis Man, what crimes have you committed this time? Yeah.
Like,
I
who did you
know.
murder? You ended up living, didn't you?
No, we died the same
No, we
week,
died
Uni.
together.
We died together.
I forgot about that. Oopsies.
All right, Uni, if you want to say your socials.
Hi, I'm Uni. You can find me anywhere at UniX's. I also have a card, I think, in my Twitter. Maybe, yeah. I don't stream or make content anymore, really. So like, I'm just a cool guy hanging out, doing shit. I cosplay a lot recently though, but
Yeah, you've been getting into your
That's it.
cosplay.
dude,
Hell
I stayed
yeah.
up till 6 a.m. fucking cosplaying Nene the other day. It was bad. I passed out. I blacked out of the.
Here's a little spoiler for the stream. One of
Anyways.
my future episodes might be about cosplay.
Yes.
Me.
I'm in. Let me in.
alright. So stream, I've linked everyone's Twitters except for Connor because he's stinky. In
Hey.
chat. Hey, thank you so much for the new follow. Welcome, welcome. We're just about to end off, but thank you for the follow.
Oh my god,
regardless.
Hatsune Miku?
Mixie!
Hatsune Miku.
Miku?
That's my friend Mixie. They made my PNG tuber. Hi, Mixie.
Oh, awesome. Welcome,
Oh.
welcome, Mixie. Thank you so much for the follow.
Hatsune Miku.
Hatsune Miku.
Sorry, my dyslexia kicked in.
Mixie,
My
I am
dyslexia kicked
very
in for a
sorry.
second.
This is what happens with this group of people I'm with.
No, I'm
okay?
so sorry. My dyslexia kicked in for a second, and I didn't see the I just saw MIXKU, and you know how some people just put like X's in the middle of their name, like Rain does.
Yeah.
I thought it was that, so I was like, oh my god, Miku. Sorry, I'm a little bit special.
And if you guys want to find me, my Twitter and Discord have also been linked in chat for you guys. Oh man. Thank you to you guys for joining me today to talk about Technoblade.
Well, yeah.
I am gonna be taking a little break from these podcasts for a little while just because my wrist, an old work injury, is flaring up at the moment. But for you guys, when I do decide to do my next podcast, I will you guys will be the first to know. I'll ping that in the Discord server.
Yay.
Hell
Thank you guys
yeah.
for joining me. I'm gonna go and end off my stream now.
Alrighty.
Hope you guys all have a
Bye.
lovely rest of your day, whatever time it is for you guys.
Goodbye.
Alrighty, streams. Thank you so much for joining me today. This has been a really awesome podcast. Getting to talk about Technoblade. Joined by some really awesome people. Do you want to say goodbye?
Bye-bye.
Goodbye, guys.